we're back with Mark, and we're going to talk about the great Lou Thesz.
Lou Thesz was a wrestler all his life. He always told me that when he was a kid at 7 years old and used to wrestle with his dad was a wrestler, a Greco-Roman wrestler over in Hungary. So he's always been exposed to wrestling, but as a young kid, I'm not sure the age, his dad took him to watch a wrestling match in St. Louis. He saw Ed Stringer Lewis wrestle John Pesek. And when he saw it in person, he fell in love with it, he told me.
That would have been an incredible match to see.
He wrestled, he went to the businessman's gym in St. Louis is where they all hung out and worked out. And he was just a teenager. Of course, he didn't have wrestling in schools back then. But he went there, and they had these little wrestling clubs that they would let the young guys wrestle in different schools or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of like an independent group.
Yeah.
And he started that way, and then...
Was it a hook-style wrestling club?
No, this was just...
Or amateur?
Yeah, amateur.
Because I know Frankie Kane talks about when he got into wrestling, there wasn't a lot of amateur. He belonged to a hook-style wrestling club when he was really young, when he was like 10 years old.
Yeah, I don't think this was what this was.
Mm-hmm.
He did that, and then he was introduced at the businessman's gym to George Tragus, who was an Olympic wrestler. Wasn't a big name in the professional ring, but he was a good wrestler. Kind of a little teeny guy, kind of out of shape looking, didn't look like much, but could stretch the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Well, he ended up kind of liking Lou's attitude, and he took him under his wing, and he showed him a lot of stuff. And then he became friends with Ray Steele, who's Pete Sauer.
Ray Steele, yeah.
Ed Stringer Lewis.
Oh, yeah.
And Lou told me one time that the workouts were so rough that he quit. He told his dad, I'm quitting because he wasn't winning, and you know how kids are.
Yeah.
He was getting his ass kicked.
How old was he at that time?
Oh, I don't know, probably 16, 17.
Yeah.
And his dad told him, he says, look, you ain't going to quit. This is the way wrestling is. You're not going to win all of it. You got to get your ass kicked. So anyway, he said that Ed Lewis told his dad to tell Lou to get back down there in the gym and start working out because they saw something in him.
Yeah.
And anyway, he did that, then just learned a lot from Tragus. And one night he was a substitute for somebody to wrestle Everett Marshall for the world title.
Yeah.
He was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
And he said he was scared shitless, he was nervous as well.
Yeah.
And they said, just go out there and wrestle the guy. We ended up beating Everett Marshall.
Was it a shoot?
That I don't know.
Yeah, it could have been at that time.
Could have been, because, Everett Marshall wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
And like Lou said, Lou was wrestling every day with George Tragus and Ray Steele.
God, yeah.
Where Everett Marshall was working with guys and plus traveling all the time. So he wasn't in the best of shape, I don't think. So, that's what I always heard the story.
Because it doesn't seem like at that point in his career they would want to get him over as a champion if it was worked. So there's a good chance that would have been a shoot.
But anyway, he kept the title for a while, and it was this guy named Crusher Casey, Steve Casey, that kind of took advantage of Lou and kicked him side the head during a match in Boston one time when he was world champion and knocked Lou out. He was in pretty bad shape, so they took the title off of him, put it back on Everett Marshall. I don't know the ins and outs about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, he did that, and he eventually matured into, the man.
Yeah. And did he ever talk to you about who he felt were some of the best shooters in his era of professional wrestling?
Definitely number one was Ed Stringer Lewis. He thought he was better than anybody.
Yeah. Ed Lewis is awesome.
Second was probably Ray Steele. He thought Ray Steele was a big brother. Ray Steele really helped him out.
Did he know John Pesek? Because in our research, John
I know
Pesek
he met him. I know he's talked to him, but he never wrestled him.
Yeah.
Never worked out with him.
Or Clarence Eklund.
I never met Clarence Eklund.
Did you ever hear that?
I asked him that.
Did you ever hear the story of Clarence Eklund when he went to the Iowa wrestling team after they won the national championship?
He beat everybody on the team.
Coach lined the guys up and he pinned them all. Yeah.
But no, I know he didn't meet Clarence Eklund because he told me. But he says Ed Stringer Lewis was the best.
Yeah.
Ray
Stringer
Steele.
Lewis was awesome. And how about in the later years? Because that's sort of the earlier era, going towards when he wrestled with Buddy Rogers and.
He thought Buddy Rogers was a showman. He was a hell of an athlete.
Yeah.
Don't take nothing away from him. He was a good athlete.
Yeah.
He wasn't a wrestler.
Yeah.
Argentina Rocca wasn't a hell of an
No,
athlete.
he was more an Olympian. More not an Olympian, more a gymnast.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's what people liked. That's fine. He wasn't a wrestler. Good athlete, not a wrestler. Who else did he talk about? Primo Carnell. Hell of a fighter.
Boxer, yeah. Professional boxer, yeah. Never really learned to wrestle. Billy Wicks and Frankie Kane. Dick Cardinal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dick Cardinal. He said Dick Cardinal was a tough guy.
Yeah, and all those guys come out of the carnival. Now, did Lou ever wrestle in the carnivals?
No, never did.
He didn't.
He wished he had have, but he never did. He just didn't turn out that way. He knew a lot of guys that did, but he told me one time that he went to a carnival and was going to challenge the guy up there on the stage, but they recognized his ears. And they said, no way.
I was wondering if he ever barnstormed the carnivals.
He tried.
Yeah. He probably was too well
Fred
known.
Grubmeyer, though.
Yeah.
He told me he knew Fred Grubmeyer. Fred Grubmeyer used to do that.
Yeah.
He'd go in and beat him. He said Fred Grubmeyer was probably one of the best wrestlers around, too. He looked like crap.
Yeah.
Tall, skinny guy.
That's back in those days they could barnstorm the carnivals if they were regional. If they went to a different region.
Right.
Yeah. Now, do you have any stories before we go that you can tell about Lou Thesz that you'd like to share with everybody?
Lou was a great guy. Him and I were together constantly. I used to go to his house, eat dinner at his house. I trained with him all the time. He'd meet me at the gym.
Was he married to Charlie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlie's a great woman. She used to put up with us because all we did was talk about wrestling.
Yeah, I just talked to her yesterday. She doesn't like to hear about wrestling. She says she's tired of hearing about wrestling.
She's a nice gal, and she did a lot for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, she put up a lot with me and him. But he was a great guy. He made my career.
Yeah.
He was great to me. Last time I saw him alive, I sat with him at the Wrestling Hall of Fame banquet.
Yeah.
And we had dinner together. And of course, he was living in Florida at the time. I was living here in Virginia.
Yeah, he moved down to Tampa, didn't he?
It's Winter Garden.
Winter Garden, yeah.
Outside Orlando.
Near Orlando. Yeah, Gene LaBelle shared with me a book called The Last Time on the Mat with Lou Thesz, which is a really nice book. And he had some great things to say and stories about the great Lou Thesz. And Lou Thesz will always be remembered as a great, not only a great shooter and wrestler, but a great man as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It was the ultimate wrestler. The
Yep.
way he carried himself.
Yeah. And y'all who are listening, you should go on YouTube and watch some of Lou's classic matches. I think they have some uploaded on the YouTube network. You can watch some of his matches. Or does he have any DVDs for sale or anything? His matches. Does Charlie sell anything?
Yes, I think Charlie is selling a. Yes, she is. She's selling a DVD with him wrestling Buddy Rogers.
Is it on Gene LaBelle's website?
Don't know that.
Okay.
But I know he's selling. She's selling a DVD that's him wrestling Gene Kaninsky.
Yeah.
And Buddy Rogers on the same DVD.
Cool. Well, y'all should check that out. We got to roll, but it's been a pleasure talking with Mark Fleming. We're here at Mark Fleming's gym. Y'all should check it out, Fleming's gym. And if y'all want to really check out something cool, walk over there and see. This is a great DVD, more for instructional purposes. It's a DVD called what's it called? Combat Strength and Training: Wrestling with Weights. So y'all take care.